I ask you, what do fossil fuels do to planets?
Okay, so the main thing that they do is that they create sort of a greenhouse effect when you burn them.
Greenhouse is good.
Greenhouses are good if you want to cook vegetables, like make
Cook
vegetables. Make vegetables, grow vegetables. They're good in that sense. And they're good if you're a being that likes to exist at 60, 70 degrees Celsius. That would be lovely for you. And in fact, they are good for us. Like there is a greenhouse effect of our own ozone layer already. And then the certain level at which it's at is good for humans. But we kind of don't want it to be any more. But every time we go for a drive or we sort of get an aeroplane or buy things that are made out of plastic because that subsidizes the other oil products, we kind of make it hotter a little bit, and that's not good for us.
Are you saying that you and me single-handedly have been causing climate change?
Maybe
we should stop doing all of those things.
I've been trying to cover it up, but they're coming for us, Corey.
Oh, no.
We've been doing it the whole time.
I didn't even know. Why didn't you tell me? No. You're so right. Greenhouse gases do this thing like a greenhouse. Heat comes in, and then the greenhouse gases basically kind of reflect it back in, stop the heat from escaping. Very, very simply put. We've done episodes on climate change, and also this is like really simple high school, primary school stuff. Go and look it up if you want to understand it. You'll find plenty of resources explaining it in greater detail than we're going to here. But yeah, the use of fossil fuels creates an increased greenhouse effect, which has just been increasing the temperatures on the planet. Since the 1980s, each decade has been warmer than the previous one. And nearly all land areas are seeing more hot days and heat waves. You could take that from anecdotal experience as well. That's one of those interesting things wherein anecdotal experience and sort of data, the bigger data, kind of tell the same story, right? I mean, if you think about it, how many heat waves, or not necessarily strictly defined as heat waves, but sort of hot days, have we had in London over the past 8 years? I mean, for me, I moved here 8 years ago. I can see the difference. I can literally feel the difference in temperature over the past 8 years. When I first moved here, I was not having to take a couple days of summer where I did absolutely nothing because it was far too hot to move around in my flat, whereas that has just become a common occurrence now. Hotter temperatures, that can cause more wildfires and increase the temperatures in the Arctic, which causes water to melt, which means sea levels rise, which means people are moved out of their homes because, things near the water start to flood. And then also because it means we've got less crop production. It's bad. It's knock-on effects. It's not good. Too hot is no bueno, okay? And I know you like saying, hey, but summer's supposed to be hot. And every now and time then there's a hot thing. And actually, isn't it nice when it's hot in summer? Yes, it is nice when it's hot in summer. It's not nice when it's so hot that people die. So storms can also be caused by greenhouse gases, by the use of fossil fuels and whatnot. You've probably seen those big old destructive storms, natural disasters, as we used to call them, I guess. They've kind of become more frequent and more intense in recent years. So when temperatures rise, more moisture evaporates, and then that means there's more rainfall and flooding, which means more destructive storms. So cyclones, hurricanes, typhoons, they basically pick up warm water from the ocean surface and they destroy homes, cities, communities, businesses, all things that we like to have around us. And not only is there more wet, Luke, what else is there? The opposite of more wet.
More dry.
Yeah.
And more cold.
Yep. And why is more dry bad?
More dry bad because places will become deserts.
Why is desert bad? I like desert good? No?
Not much stuff live in desert. Not many people live in desert. Not much water in desert. Not a great place.
That's very true. So increased droughts mean less available water, and less available water. I mean, let's be realistic here. Water is one of, if not the most important natural resource that we have. We all need it to live. Pretty much every living thing needs it to live. I would actually say every living thing. Viruses, yeah, they need them. Look, Okay, I can't be specific about biology, but what I will say is that water is pretty necessary for life, generally speaking. And yeah, less clean sort of non-salty water, less clean fresh water makes it harder to live, right? Water scarcity means that those prices will increase, which means the poorest people, the most vulnerable, will be probably most affected. Not good, okay? So droughts can also cause, increased wildfires, like we were saying. It can affect crops and food production, all of that sort of stuff. If we heat up the ocean, so the ocean is pretty good. It's supposed to absorb heat, right? Well, it's not supposed to. It's just there, and it does that. But if as it takes up more and more heat, then it's obviously going to change what's going on in there. For example, some creatures cannot live in the warmer temperatures of the ocean. For example, I think it's was it coral reefs? Coral reef bleaching that can be caused by increased temperatures. Some animals, basically the temperature that their eggs are at, determine what sex they are, so that can cause more problems there. On top of just the pretty basic of sort of like, we can't survive at temperatures hotter than 50, 60 degrees, I think. Some creatures in the waters can't survive with, a few degrees of increased temperature, which causes problems there. Also, gosh, if there's more carbon dioxide, which is being absorbed into the water, then it becomes more acidic. And look, acid's fine, but super acidic ocean, it's not the best thing.
That'll do stuff to the coral reefs as well, I think.
I probably will do, yeah. It will. Not very good for them. And then also other marine life as well, because no one likes to live in an acidic ocean. Some people maybe do. I don't know. I can't say that, but acidic ocean, bad. And all of that can, accumulate to create the loss of species. So things just going extinct through habitat loss, through increased temperatures, through all of these sort of natural disasters that we're talking about, even through human activity to kind of try and avoid all of these horrible things that we're causing. Not enough food, which we've mentioned, so these droughts, changes in temperature, and even increased rainfall, or colder winters, all of these things impact food production because whether we like it or not, we pretty much rely on plants to survive, plants and fungi, and then animals eat the plants, and then we eat the animals sometimes, losers. Losers eat animals. I eat plants, bruh. But no, anyway, crop production will be drastically changed because, the plants can't grow in the conditions that we are creating. Fish as well. People eat fish. They live in the water. They don't like it when it's acidic or too hot. All of these sorts of things, they don't like it.
They'll start complaining.
They start getting wound up.
They're going to have real issues with this.
Oh, God. You think salmon are annoying now? No. And then health risks as well. Air pollution, disease, extreme weather events, displacement from those weather events, rising sea levels, meaning that people living in one place that was fine, it's now no longer fine to live, they need to move somewhere else. And look, as you're well aware, countries deal pretty well with refugees and migrants, right?
Well, yeah, that's one thing I wanted to talk about, actually, is that, some of the people who are arguing against doing anything about global warming or arguing it's not going to be as bad or just generally slowing down global warming stuff are also the people who don't like migrants. Now, that's a bit of a sweeping statement, but I think it would probably correlate. I think broadly it would correlate.
I think you're right, yeah.
And global warming is going to cause massive amounts of migration because not only, like Corey said earlier, are there sea rises mean that coastal towns could disappear, right? What was once a coastal town will now be under the water.
Oh, as Ben Shapiro so smartly said, Luke. Just sell the homes and move somewhere else?
Just sell the homes. Sell them to who, Ben? Who's going to buy the homes? Anyway, yes, but also just if it's too hot, people are going to migrate to sort of colder areas. Mm-hmm. Like you could have England becoming like what Spain's like and Scotland becoming what England's like, right? And then Spain will become like what something else is like. And then there might be a whole area of the earth that's just sort of generally not very habitable. Like it's, you already have areas of America where you run between buildings to get from aircon to aircon, and that's America, and that's it's not good for lots of things. There's so many effects. It spirals so much.
Do you want the whole world to be Arizona? I didn't think so. No offense, Arizona, but you're too hot. Yeah, no, absolutely. And then poverty and displacement, which we've kind of touched on as well, but poverty is something that is likely going to be increased as well, because if there's less space and resources are more scarce and blah, 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 blah. We're not very good at distributing resources, and we've got pretty plentiful resources right now. Imagine if they're not that anymore. Not good. And yeah, fossil fuels, the use of oil, pretty much just causes all of these things. Like, it's pretty straightforward. You burn fossil fuels, all this stuff happens. Like, that's basically it. I could get into the nitty gritty, but it's relatively straightforward. You use more oil and gas and coal and whatnot. This stuff happens more.
And we have also known this for like most of the time we've been doing it. Like we knew it in the 70s. It's like with smoking, when all the tobacco companies knew about the dangerous effects of smoking and they lied to Congress about the smoking.
Yeah.
Same thing with all the oil companies. They all knew, this is going somewhere not very good, but we made a lot of money, so let's just keep doing it and tell everyone to shush.
But Republicans said that it was not true. Or then they changed their mind and say that it is happening, but it's supposed to happen. It's normal. And I think now they're at the point of saying, no, humans did cause it, but also it's fine. I think that's where we're at, right? Where the right is like, global warming is happening, but it's fine.
Well, yeah. So it might be that they're going like, I have a really interesting thing about this, actually. So it might be that they're going, they look at the historical temperature things and they're like, look, the Earth has gone through natural cycles of different temperatures throughout history, and it's been hotter than it is now in the past. And it's like, well, yes, but we don't know. We probably do know, actually, that lots of stuff probably died. The other thing is that you can say it's supposed to happen, but you might be, okay, this is, again, broad strokes. It's supposed to happen, right? You could look at that as it's supposed to happen from like an almost biblical perspective and go, this is what's supposed to happen. Okay. But then what's supposed to happen to the dinosaurs was that a meteorite smashed into the earth and they all died. No one's saying that life won't survive global warming.
Yeah.
There's a period of time which I read about, which I absolutely found so fascinating, where trees invented some protein. What, have I spoken about this before? I probably have.
No, I just love the concept of trees inventing. Like they're sitting in their little tree labs and they're like, Eureka! Eureka! You won't believe what I've found.
Trees basically.
A branch new invention. Bow down to me.
Okay, cool. Anyway, at some point in history, trees basically figured out how to get really tall, and they made, I think it's a protein, I can't remember what it is. You might be able to Google it. I don't know. They basically made this structure that they could that meant they could grow really tall and they could support.
Oh, lignin, probably.
Lignin, right?
Lignin,
exactly. Yeah. And there was nothing on Earth that could break down lignin.
Oh, yeah.
And so there was these millions of years where there was just dead trees, like just lying around the place, and there was no natural no natural process on Earth that could sort of do this. And Earth is a sort of a cyclical system. Like stuff creates byproducts, and other things use those byproducts to create energy for themselves. We do that, the plants do that, etc. But there was this long time where the trees had made lignin and nothing could break it down. And we've sort of done that with plastic, and we put way more carbon dioxide in the atmosphere than is good for us. And we've created very quickly a situation that sort of the rest of the ecosystem isn't sort of adapted for.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
And if we carry on doing that, the ecosystem will adapt to it, most likely. It will. There will eventually, if you leave it long enough, be probably some kind of life that will eat plastic, right?
Oh, yeah.
It will eat all our plastic, and it will thrive. It will do great, right? We may well be dead, right? And so you can take the stance of like, this is what's supposed to happen, but only if you also are you're claiming to take a universal stance, which is like, this is what's supposed to happen. Species go extinct.
Yeah.
You can make the claim that like, well, the purpose of the humans is to pull up all the carbon from under the ground and put it back in the atmosphere, because having loads of carbon in the atmosphere might be really good for some life, but it's not good for this life.
No.
So I don't think the Republicans get to make that claim.
Yeah, I just feel like, look, I think the claim that is often made is, this is supposed to happen in the context of, the Earth naturally cycles. And then when it was proven beyond a shadow of a doubt that climate change is caused by human activity, they were like, well, actually, it's fine. It's fine. No, we're not gonna. You keep on saying that the world is going to, all these disasters are going to happen. Where are they happening? They haven't happened. You silly. Let's just forget all the people dying during the heat waves and whatnot in the UK. Do you know when old people die when it gets really hot? Those are deaths from climate change. Stupid. I'm sorry to call you stupid. That's not very productive. It's not very kind. But I am frustrated. And Jesus, man, like when Texas froze, and yes, their infrastructure being their sort of, their power infrastructure and whatnot being separate from the rest of the country is a sort of political and sort of social problem, definitely. But climate change is the reason that it got so cold in Texas that all that stuff happened, right? Like this stuff, man, like people see climate change happening in front of their eyes and they don't recognize it because it happens on a scale that's just a little bit too slow to really think about, right? Like, I mean, it's so fast. Realistically, so fast. In the past 10 years, things have changed so bloody much. Like, I think the hottest in the city where I'm from, I remember saying this on the podcast, the city where I am from, it didn't get hotter than like 25 degrees or something or whatever for a long, long time. And I'm pretty sure in the past 10 years, the 5 hottest days in that city were in the past 10 years. Like, what the hell, man? What the hell? It is happening at a scale where we can see it. But it's just slow enough that if you don't want to see it, you don't have to. Because this year isn't that much hotter than last year, which isn't that much hotter than last year, but this year is definitely way hotter than 10 years ago.
Yeah,
okay?
It's a real problem with us, isn't it? We're not very good at this.
No.
We're like good at a scale of like a week or two.
Many of us are quite good at it, right?
But we're good at it because we've developed tools to do it.
Yeah, many of us are good at it because of the tools that we've developed, but also many of us like to bury our heads in the sand because money or power or something that isn't going to matter when you've caused a complete climate and ecological collapse.